Well, there are many systems in the market that can claim to be cloud, but there are mixed solutions. Some are cloud native, while the others are slightly legacy. So, which are the top 10 cloud ERP systems in 2024? That's what we are going to discuss in this video. So, let's dive in. Hello everyone, my name is Sen Gupta. I am principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the independent ERP and digital transformation consulting firm. We help our clients with digital transformation strategy, enterprise technology selection, implementation, as well as change management. On that note, let's go back to today's topic, which is going to be top 10 cloud ERP systems in 2024. We published this list in 2023 as well. Some of the changes that you might notice in this particular list is Sage Intacct has been downgraded a little bit just because of their advancement in the cloud capabilities and their narrow focus primarily as the accounting system. They don't have as deep ERP capabilities as of today, and we don't see any direction if they are going to develop all of these capabilities on top of the Sage Intacct platform. So that is the reason for that downgrade. The Microsoft products have been upgraded substantially just because they are doing really well overall from the cloud penetration perspective. How do we define the cloud companies? And this is going to be the more mature cloud capabilities the systems are going to have. For example, let's say if you look at enterprise search or mobility or the industry capabilities that are going to be in the cloud version as opposed to the on-prem version, then those systems are going to rank slightly better, as well as we look at the cloud roadmap. So these are some of the factors that we have utilized for this particular list. Overall, the way we compile these lists, the criteria is going to be the product share, acquisition strategy focused on the cloud capabilities as well as cloud products, the product roadmap, community, ecosystem, win rate, the technology strategy, as well as the investors. So these are some of the factors that we utilize in compiling these lists. So now let's look at the list. Number 10 on our list is Plex. Last year at this particular spot, we had Odoo, so just a little bit of change. So the reason why we are not as excited about Plex is because of the lack of momentum in their portfolio. They are not doing as well as some of the other systems on this particular list. Overall, Plex started as the cloud native platform, so their technology is most certainly superior than compared to several other legacy platforms. Plex is mixed mode manufacturing solution. They are really strong in the automotive centric verticals, food and beverage, as well as the life sciences. Those are some of the core verticals that they target. So you are going to see far deeper capabilities overall from the compliance perspective when you look at certain verticals inside automotive that will require building on top of vanilla solutions. So overall, when you look at these trends for Plex, they were born in the cloud. They specialize in the automotive, F&B, as well as industrial manufacturing verticals. So you are going to see a lot more last mile capabilities on top of Plex. And the other things that you are going to notice with Plex is the cloud native design. Overall, the way their screens are laid out, the way their architecture is, you are going to see consistency with that with Plex, similar to other solutions such as your Acumatica or Sage Intacct. The limitations that you're going to notice with Plex is their ecosystem as well as the focus is limited. So it might not be the best fit for slightly more diverse business models, as well as you might find challenges in finding talent to support the product as well as developing capabilities on top of Plex. Not suitable for diverse business models, especially for the companies that are going to be active with M&A cycles, or if they are going to be part of the holding companies and you are looking for a slightly more diverse solution, then you might outgrow Plex quickly. But if you are going to have slightly more pure play business model in the verticals where they really shine, then Plex could be a great solution. So that said, Plex is still a very strong solution if you're looking for a cloud native experience. So that's number 10. Now, number 9 on our list is Odoo. So, Odoo, if you are not familiar with the solution, Odoo targets the smaller businesses for the most part, the businesses that are outgrowing QuickBooks. The biggest advantage with Odoo is their open source. So, they have much larger community compared to several other solutions on this list. And because of that, they are going to have much larger consulting base. They are also localized and globalized in several countries. So sometimes when these startups are going to be operating in many different countries, even though their overall revenue footprint is not going to be as large and they don't necessarily require as deep enterprise capabilities, but for these companies, Odoo might be better fit. And the reason for that is because all of these countries can reside inside one database, so that if you are going to have any sort of synergies between operational or financial, then Odoo is going to be a great fit. Overall strengths from Odoo's perspective is that if you look at the UI, UX, it's really cloud native, one of the best out there from the technical capabilities perspective, the cloud native capabilities perspective. You are going to find most mature cloud native capabilities with Odoo. And then you also have the flexibility with respect to open source. So you are not going to be investing as much on licensing, even with open source you are going to pay with licensing. Not all components are necessarily open source, but you still have that flexibility. The limitations that you are going to see with Odoo are the out of the box mature ERP capabilities are going to be limited. When you look at the advanced feature, the batch capabilities that are going to be there with the other richer ERP solutions, they are not as prevalent with Odoo. So for your first ERP, this could be a great fit. But when you are trying to advance in your capabilities, then Odoo may not be the best fit. The other limitations that you're going to notice with Odoo is that you don't have as many business consulting companies consulting in the Odoo ecosystem. So you're going to find a lot more accounting firms because Odoo is really mature with the finance and accounting capabilities. They have a lot of marketing automation centric capabilities. But when you look at the depth in operations, it does not have as deep capabilities. And that's why the companies that are going to be deeper with their ERP knowledge may not be consulting inside Odoo because it's not as well penetrated in those spaces. You are going to find a lot more developers, the technical companies, and because of that, sometimes we notice the issues where they are trying to over engineer, they are trying to develop the capabilities, which might require a far heavier lift, and they might not scale as well just because the data model was not designed for these richer capabilities. So that's why we see a lot more issues with Odoo in general with the implementations, especially when you look at the implementation in the larger segment. And then the other challenges that you're going to see with Odoo is their limited last mile capabilities. These last mile capabilities you are going to find with many other solutions that are going to be there on this list. They are not as well developed, pre-baked with Odoo. So that's number 9. Now, number 8 on our list is Sage Intacct. Last year, we had IFS at this particular spot. So overall, the way Sage Intacct likes to target the market, they are best of suite system specializing in accounting centric capabilities. If you are looking for very heavy accounting capabilities, for example, when you require the multi-entity support globally, they are probably going to be localized and globalized in many different countries. The way Sage Intacct data model is, it is designed for service centric industries. So for inventory centric industries, they might not be the best fit. But even for service-centric industries, you are going to require many different add-ons. So sometimes it might be harder to see how Sage Intacct is an ERP system, because even for as basic capabilities that your expectation might be in an ERP system, such as your AR, AP, or procurement, or the PSA capabilities that you might require on top of Sage Intacct, they might not have as deep data layers, and then you would require a lot more add-ons, whether it comes to your project management or it is going to be for your field service. Now, the industries that Sage Intacct targets, for the most part, they are going to be using a lot of best of suite components. So in those scenarios, the Sage Intacct might be a better fit if the role of Sage Intacct is going to be primarily for financial reporting and corporate financial ledger, especially for mid-market companies. But overall, from the ERP perspective, the scope of Sage Intacct is limited, even though it is one of the best cloud native system out there. So some of the other strengths are going to be, when you look at the subscription centric verticals, typically the subscription centric verticals require very specialized accounting centric capabilities to be able to support those billing scenarios, and these capabilities are very embedded inside Sage Intacct. So when you look at industries such as your SaaS, tech, data center centric verticals, or media, telecom, that's where you require these subscription centric capabilities. That's where Sage Intacct really shines. It is also globalized in over 120 countries, so that's where if your mid-market company is going to be spread globally and you are looking for those financial synergies, not necessarily the operational synergies, that's where your Sage Intacct is going to be extremely powerful. And then they also have one of the unique approaches. For example, let's say some of the best of breed integrations, especially when you look at integrations with Salesforce, and for the most part, the verticals that Sage Intacct targets, in those verticals, Salesforce is going to be heavily penetrated. So for those, Sage Intacct owns the integration, and because of that, the integration is going to follow the same life cycle as both of these products. So as Salesforce is upgrading their capabilities, Sage Intacct is most likely going to be upgrading their capabilities, and the integration is going to follow the similar life cycle. So you are not going to feel as much friction overall from the integration perspective, but at the same time, you are still dealing with 2 or 3 different vendors. So that's probably going to be a limitation. But if you prefer that best of suite experience, then Sage Intacct could be a great fit. The limitations that you are going to notice with Sage Intacct is it is not really designed for manufacturing or industrial distribution centric verticals. Again, if you're using it as the financial core, then it's a different story. But when you look at the inventory centric processes or supply chain centric processes, you require far more embedded experience than what Sage Intacct is going to provide. The overall supply chain as well as the CRM support is not as great. It does not even have the built-in CRM. So overall, the scope of Sage Intacct solution is very limited, and that's why you are going to be using a lot more add-ons. And in general, you will see a lot more vendors with Sage Intacct implementation just because of the limitations of the core product. But that said, Sage Intacct is still a very strong product for service-centric verticals. So that's number 8. Now, number 7 on our list is IFS. Last year at this particular spot, we had Acumatica. Now, IFS is very interesting solution because they have a very different strategy compared to some of the other solutions on this particular list. So they specialize in the asset-centric industries, as well as they have capabilities for the field service, especially when you look for the best of breed field service scenarios. And sometimes IFS may not be used as the complete ERP. It might be installed on top of your SAP Oracle just because of those best of breed capabilities. These best of breed capabilities, if you need them on top of your SAP Oracle, then you would require a lot more consulting effort, the development effort, the configuration effort to be able to enable the similar capabilities as IFS. So because of that, the scope of IFS is very limited. from the technical perspective, IFS is a very mature cloud native solution, even though it was a legacy solution, but they have re-architected the solution completely. So you are going to see all of those richer capabilities that you would expect in any cloud native solution. That is going to be your enterprise search, or the way your mobility experience is going to be, or when you look at the omni-channel experience, combining all different channels, enabling that is going to be far easier with IFS. So the other strength with IFS is the consistent user experience, the way you are going to find with several other cloud native solution. The best of breed field service and asset management capabilities is going to be another strength, especially when you look at that upper mid market or the enterprise space. In those, IFS has very mature capabilities that you might not be able to find even with the enterprise solutions. The weaknesses that you are going to find with IFS are going to be very similar to any other focused solutions, and that is going to be limited ecosystem. The consulting base is not as strong. The issues with the diverse business models, for example, let's say if you look at the private equity or the holding company scenarios, in those cases IFS may not be the best fit because of its ability to support all of those different business models that you might be able to support in slightly more generalized solutions or the vanilla solutions. So that's number 7. Now, number 6 on this list is Acumatica. Last year we had MS Dynamics 365 Business Central. So if you're not familiar with Acumatica, Acumatica takes a very different approach overall from the solution perspective. One of the unique advantage with Acumatica is that, number one, it was born in the cloud, so they are going to have far richer cloud native capabilities. The entire technology stack is designed for cloud scenarios, but because of that, most of the cloud native solutions that we have in the market are not operationally as mature as some of the other solutions that we have. So they are going to be deeper in their cloud capabilities, the technical capabilities, but they are not going to be as strong with their operational capabilities. Now, Acumatica takes a very different approach overall from their solution. So when you look at the combination of your manufacturing, distribution, construction, field service, all of these business models are combined as part of one product. They have different additions that can reside inside one database. So that's a huge plus for the business models that are going to have these flavors. But when you look at the global operational as well as financial synergy, that's where Acumatica is not going to be as strong. So when you look at companies that are going to be present in certain countries, for example, let's say US, UK, Australia, maybe 3 or 4 different countries, then Acumatica could be a great fit when you are trying to explore the combination of your financial synergies or operational synergies. But when you are going to be outside of that, let's say if you're a manufacturing company present in Japan, then you are most likely going to require some sort of add-on or the partner owned localization component to be able to enable those synergies. And sometimes you might find challenges because of that. The other strengths with Acumatica is that it supports multiple business models, but not as many as the other enterprise centric solutions might be able to support. The consumption based pricing is another plus, but that could be a negative as well. It's going to be plus for the businesses that are slightly more seasonal in nature, because with the other solutions, even though if they are going to claim that they have the consumption based pricing, but you need to sign the licenses even if you are going to experience these spikes in your workload, and because of that you need to hire your resources, and because of that you are going to be paying a lot more unnecessarily with licenses. But Acumatica is going to provide that flexibility because the consumption based pricing is going to come with the unlimited number of users. So that's a huge plus for certain businesses, but that might be tricky to be able to estimate, and for the other industries as well. Now, the other strengths for Acumatica is a vibrant marketplace as well as ecosystem. So overall, the scope of Acumatica might be limited from the industry perspective, but you might find the augmented capabilities with their marketplace as well as ecosystem. So that's a huge plus, especially when you are going to be in spaces where you might require other capabilities. So you don't have to switch the solution that you might have to do with the other solutions that are going to be focused in nature, and their ecosystem is not going to be as strong. The limitations with Acumatica is overall the globalization capabilities are going to be limited. They are not as strong and not suitable for larger workloads. So up to $100 million, Acumatica might be okay. That's their sweet spot. That's where their 80 to 90% customers are going to be. So when you are utilizing Acumatica for roughly 20 to $30 million to roughly $100 million, that's where Acumatica really shines, but not necessarily for the mid-market or the enterprise spaces. And the companies, let's say if you're going to be part of the private equity portfolio, when you are trying to streamline all of your companies on one solution, that's where Acumatica may not be best fit if your private equity portfolio or the holding company is going to be present in many different countries, because Acumatica would not be able to support natively all of those globalization as well as localization scenario. So that's going to be a weakness, and that's number 6. Now, number 5 on our list is SAP S/4HANA Cloud. Last year, we had MS Dynamics 365 FNO at this particular spot. So some changes there. So SAP S/4HANA Cloud overall, if you look at their maturity in 2024, they have come a long way. But the strategy that they have taken for the cloud product is very different from their on-prem product. So the richer capabilities that you were able to find in the on-prem world, most likely they are not going to be there in the cloud product, because their strategy is very similar to products such as your Microsoft or NetSuite, where they are relying on their partners to be able to provide those industry specific capabilities. Now, that could be a greater strategy overall from the distribution perspective, because they are enabling their partners to be invested more in the product and the ecosystem, and because of that their consulting base is going to be stronger. But that could be a negative as well, because now you are relying on third party code, which might not be as well adopted, as well designed, as well coded, even though SAP is going to enforce a lot of different guidelines. But again, when you are dealing with third party, and then you are dealing with 3 different vendors, even if you're going to utilize just 2 components, and if you have many add-ons, then you are dealing with many more vendors. So the strengths that you are going to see is, number 1, the HANA processing capabilities for the enterprise workloads, especially when you are looking at the operational synergies or MRP planning at the global level. That's when SAP S/4HANA Cloud really shines for the product centric industries, consolidating all of these global workloads in one particular system. But the operational capabilities are not going to be as rich as some of the other distribution manufacturing centric solutions that might not be as cloud native. But SAP S/4HANA Cloud is going to have richer cloud native capabilities when you look at technical capabilities such as your transactional maps or GDPR compliance capabilities. All of those are going to be built as part of your product itself. So that's where SAP S/4HANA really shines. The other strengths for SAP S/4HANA Cloud is when you look at the best of suite experience within the SAP S4 portfolio, when you are looking at, let's say, the HCM solution or EWM solutions. So all of these solutions are going to be integrated. If you are going to utilize all of the SAP solutions, then that could be a great fit, but that could be a negative as well, because you are heavily relying just on SAP for the entire architecture. So you are tight coupling yourself with just one vendor, and you might not have as much cloud when you are going to be negotiating the licensing. And sometimes the licensing could be very heavy component overall on your P&L. So something you need to keep in mind. Now, the weaknesses that you are going to have with SAP S/4HANA Cloud is the limited last mile capabilities. The cloud version is lagging compared to your on-prem version. So the capabilities that are going to be there with the on-prem version, they might not be as available with the cloud version. And it could be overwhelming overall for the smaller organizations, because the smaller organizations care for a lot more operational capabilities than the technical capabilities or the mature cloud capabilities that are going to be there with SAP S/4HANA Cloud. So that's number 5. Number 4 on our list is Oracle Cloud ERP. There are no changes as such this year at this particular spot. We had Oracle Cloud ERP last year as well. So when you look at this, the design of the product, this was a legacy solution, so they have re-architected. So you are going to find a lot more mature cloud capabilities on Oracle Cloud ERP compared to the other solution. The overarching philosophy and the design, the way Oracle Cloud ERP is designed, it targets the service-centric organization. That's where it is going to be really strong. The HCM embedded processes or the FP&A processes or the indirect procurement processes that are really strong for the service-centric organizations, they are going to be really strong. Even the CPQ, if you look at the way Oracle CPQ is, it is going to be designed from the perspective of companies such as your financial services, telecom, media, and your tech or SaaS centric industries. That's where Oracle Cloud ERP really shines. They are really strong in the construction verticals as well. The other strengths that you are going to find with Oracle Cloud ERP, it is designed for the large service centric organization. So if these companies are going to use Oracle as the financial ledger, especially if the companies are going to be publicly traded when they require audit ready capabilities, that's where Oracle Cloud ERP is going to be really rich. Now, when you compare Oracle Cloud ERP and SAP S4HANA, SAP S4HANA is going to have far more traceable capabilities that might not be as visual with Oracle Cloud ERP, especially when you look at those transactional maps or the way your SOC compliance is going to be. It is going to have all of those financial layers in Oracle Cloud ERP. The risk management component as well as the GRC component is probably going to be far more tailored towards those service centric industries, but it might not be as detailed overall from the collaborative workflow perspective. So the other strength with Oracle Cloud ERP is it is going to have the WMS and TMS processes that are going to be embedded, and some of these processes might be slightly more relevant for retail 3PL centric verticals, but they might not be as relevant for the other industrial centric verticals. And it is ideal for regulated industries just because of the kind of processes it can support. The limitations with Oracle Cloud ERP is the limited capabilities for the MRP centric companies. It is not really designed for that, even though you might find Oracle Cloud ERP in those verticals as well. But the scope of the solution is going to be limited, just as the financial ledger, the corporate financial ledger, and it might be overwhelming for smaller organizations. It's a very enterprise grade product. So it is going to have all of those layers that enterprises are going to require, but they might not be as relevant for smaller organizations. So that's number 4. Number 3 on our list is Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations. Last year we had SAP S4HANA Cloud. So overall, when you look at the MS Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations, they have far richer operational capabilities. They have far more relevance for a lot of different organizations. When you look at the upper mid-market organizations or the lower enterprise organizations, especially if you look at the scope of ERP completely, when it is being used for the entire operational workload as opposed to being used only for the financial ledger, that's when Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations is far richer compared to the other solutions on this list. So the strengths are going to be it can support many different business models, just like your Oracle Cloud ERP as well as SAP S4HANA Cloud. But the other solutions might require a lot more add-ons compared to your Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations, and that's why they are going to be slightly more relevant for those upper mid-market organization or lower enterprise organizations. And the reason for that is because they are not going to have as much budget for configuration consulting as your enterprise counterparts. And that's why for these verticals, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations makes a lot more sense. The strength is going to be the comprehensive cloud solution for the upper mid market as well as the lower enterprise verticals. The embedded WMS and TMS processes are going to be there for global enterprises that are looking to enable those global trade scenarios where you are going to have restrictions in certain countries. That's where Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations is going to be super handy, where you are not going to have these capabilities in the smaller solutions, but it might be overwhelming. And it supports mixed mode manufacturing compared to some of the other solutions that might be strong in certain manufacturing scenarios, even though they all might claim that they all have mixed mode manufacturing. But when you look at the detailed manufacturing capabilities, for example, let's say if you look at WBS centric capabilities, or you look at the capabilities that are going to be equally relevant for the products that are going to be very consumerized versus the products that are going to be very long standing, for those capabilities you will require comprehensive solution like MS Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations, and they have these mature capabilities in their cloud version. The limitations that you are going to notice with Microsoft Dynamics 365 finance and operations, it is not as optimal for publicly traded companies compared to your Oracle Cloud ERP as well as your SAP S/4HANA, just because the kind of layers that you are going to find in those, the traceability capabilities that you are going to find in those solutions are going to be far richer. They are going to be far more visual than what you are going to find with this particular solutions. And the challenges are going to be when you look at the workload of those Fortune 50, Fortune 100, Fortune 500 organization, especially if you look at the combined workload from the MRP perspective, when it is not used only for the financial ledger, then it might struggle a little bit compared to the other larger solution, and it's going to be overwhelming for the smaller organizations as well. So that's number 3. Now, number 2 on our list is Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. Last year we had NetSuite at this particular spot. So Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central is the SMB solution from Microsoft, and it is cloud native solution. It has been re-architected completely. So you are going to see a lot more cloud native capabilities with Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. Microsoft 365 Business Central is also very strong with their ecosystem. So when you are looking at diversified business models globally, especially in the SMB space, that's where Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central shines, because you're going to find a lot more add-ons for the industrial capabilities or for the industrial verticals. So if you are going to be active in your M&A cycles, or you are part of the holding company and you are trying to streamline your entire portfolio on one cloud solution, that's when Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central could be a great fit. So some of the strengths that we have with MS Dynamics 365 Business Central is the global support. The supply chain capabilities are designed for those global organizations. They have far deeper capabilities for verticals such as your pharma, that is going to require the data model to be enabled for those verticals, where other solutions that are not going to have as deep capabilities. When you look at the way your serial numbers or lot numbers are going to be structured and their correlation with your item number, that's when this is a slightly richer product in supporting all of those discrete as well as the process manufacturing processes, even though it does not have these manufacturing capabilities native to the product. And for that, you would require several different add-ons, but the data model is going to be sufficient to be able to support those augmented capabilities as part of the marketplace. So that's where the BC product is really strong for the SMB companies. And the limitations that you're going to see is the last mile capabilities are not going to be as great. So you are going to require a lot more add-ons. And the ecosystem, when you look at the expertise of the ecosystem, that is very technical focused. So that could be a challenge, and limited Microsoft support for the smaller partners. Microsoft is not as invested, as committed for their smaller partners as you are going to find with some of the other ERP solutions. So that means you are going to find a lot more unsophisticated partners that might not have as much business expertise, as much consulting expertise. And because of that, we see a lot more failures in this particular space. But having said that, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central is a very strong product. So that's number 2. Now, number 1 on our list is NetSuite. Last year we had Sage Intacct at this particular spot. So when you look at NetSuite overall from the applicability perspective in many different verticals, the global applicability as well is also very strong with NetSuite product, even though it is not going to have as deep last mile capabilities for complex industries such as your manufacturing or the industrial distribution. That's where NetSuite data model is not as strong. It struggles there. But overarchingly speaking, if you look at the NetSuite product, it can support many different business model, especially for companies that are going to be part of private equity portfolio, or part of holding companies in the SMB space, when they are trying to streamline all of their companies on one solution, when they have to share knowledge, expertise across these entities. That's when NetSuite really shines. So some of these strengths for NetSuite is supports both product and service centric companies, and the ecosystem is going to be very well penetrated in the retail apparel centric verticals, in the hospitality centric verticals, but at the same time they are going to be equally penetrated in the service centric verticals as well. For example, SaaS, media, telecom, all of those verticals are very well prevalent in the NetSuite ecosystem. The marketplace as well as the ecosystem, you are going to find a lot more options to support these unique industries that might not be possible with the focused solution and ideal for global companies going through M&A, especially in the SMB space. The weaknesses are going to be, even though it's a cloud native product, the UI UX is not as streamlined as you are going to find with other products such as your Acumatica or your Sage Intacct. So because of that, you might feel that the user experience is patchy and not friendly for B2B as well as omni-channel centric verticals, just because of the kind of data model it has, and the limited manufacturing capabilities is going to be another drawback with NetSuite. So that's number one. If you enjoyed this video, we are also going to include a detailed article that is going to have much deeper analysis. So you might want to check that. We publish these videos on a weekly basis. So we encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. This podcast is also available in audio form on Google, Spotify, as well as Apple. So you might want to check there and subscribe if you like. If you have not checked our digital transformation report for 2024, we are going to link that as well. So you might want to check that. On that note, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.